Hi guys, this is Draven. I am sitting here with MJ from the Raven Age. If you want to say hi, tell us a bit about your bands.
Yeah, so hello, I am MJ, singer of the Raven Age, heavy metal band based out of the UK, and yeah, good to be here and chat some stuff.
Hell yeah. All right. So the Raven Age released a new single last month. How has the response been, and have you been expecting the sort of response you've been getting?
Yeah, it's kind of blown us away actually. We're really happy with the track and how it came out, but the reception that we've gotten from it is yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like we live as well, like obviously a lot of people are hearing it live for the first time, and people have been commenting like it's one of their kind of new standouts in the set. So it's, yeah, it's been really great. So yeah, and you never know, I mean, you can love a song and put it out there and you never know how people are going to react, but it's, yeah, it's been just immensely positive. So yeah.
And so then as far as for the songwriting process for that particular song, like when I took a listen to it, it sounded to me like it was almost like a bit like I guess heavier than the
Hmm.
other stuff that you guys have released before. So what was like the inspiration for this song, and what was the process? What did the process look like?
So this is one of George's songs, guitar player. He had the concept a while ago when we were putting stuff together actually for the Blood Omen record. We had this, what, a version of this. It's like since it's changed, it's what it has essentially become, but it kind of all centered around that kind of main riff. It's like a big stompy fist pumping headbanger kind of thing. And we don't have like we haven't done a song like that in a while. A lot of our stuff can be quite technical and fast paced, but this is quite just a simple in your face metal riff, which is seems to work really well live as well. So it was all kind of centered around that riff. We had it was a little bit of like a Jekyll and Hyde song because as you said, it starts off pretty heavy, and then it goes to this quite poppy, like light-hearted chorus. So it's like, oh wow, where did that come from? But I remember at the time thinking, it really works for the type of song that it is. That kind of light and dark vibe, which I think songs need sometimes. If it's just the same theme all the way through, it can get a little bit monotonous. But yeah, that was one of the things. Obviously, melody's the most important thing to us, and the chorus, the song, all it being a heavy song, has still got that melody and that kind of uplifting thing, which it does, and it takes you in a different place. Yeah, the song was initially about a completely different thing. The chorus kind of got rewritten with George and myself a couple of times for it to be the way that it is now. But yeah, we're really happy with it, and yeah, we're just, yeah, please people are digging it.
All right. So can you tell us a bit about what the upcoming album is looking like?
Well, we've kind of taking like a little bit of a like a different approach into like the way we're releasing music at the moment. So the plan is we're kind of there was a big before Blood Omen, which was our last album that came out in 23, was released. There was a big gap between albums, between Conspiracy, which was released in, I think the first single for that came out in 2018. So like 2019, I think the album was released. So it was a big gap, obviously because of COVID and everything. So instead of like making more of a gap, we just want to kind of be consistently releasing music. So we want to do that with singles, and essentially that's what we're doing at the moment. We're releasing a series of singles. We're not actually defining when the next kind of like collection, like of it being an album or whatever, when that is going to be released, purely for that reason. Like there's a few bands that have done it this way over the last few years. One up being like Bring Me the Horizon have done it this way. Um, Falling Reverse have done it this way, where they've just kind of consistently released singles, and then they release like a collection of those singles, with obviously extra tracks as well, but without kind of being definitive of when that was. I think the latest album they released, this is Falling Reverse, Popular Monster, the first single for that came out in like 2017. And so they've just kind of consistently released music, and that's kind of what we're the kind of the framework we're looking to do. Because when we released our big body of work, which was the Blood Omen album, which had been built up over years and years and years, for us the storm ended really quickly. I was like, oh wow, so that's it. We did this big album that we've been waiting for years, and it was great, but it all kind of just happened in one go. And that's like, we've just decided to try something a bit different. Instead of waiting a few years or a year or whatever to release another body of work in like one quick swoop, we're just going to steadily release music over the next, uh, 18 months or so. And yeah, just keep current, basically, keep in people's awareness. So the good thing in that regard is, from the last single we've released to, there's not going to be a lot of time between now and the next time we release something.
So then, as far as the releasing singles go, like, how do you guys decide which ones are going to come out first?
Yeah, that's it's a difficult one. What we've done in the past is we've usually stuck with, let's release the big, like the metal tracks first. So we released a song called The Guillotine just towards the I can't remember if it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year. I think it might have been the beginning of this year. Um, After we come back off the Apocalyptica tour. So we did that, and then we've obviously just released Hangman. So we've got some other stuff in the pipeline at the moment that I won't go into too much detail about. But yeah, I think that's kind of how it works. We did that with Blood Omen. We started the single thing off with a heavy track, being a song called Parasite, and then we yeah, it's released different stuff after that. So basically, we all kind of agree over what songs we think are going to be singles, and then usually George has the final say in what he thinks, and it's usually unanimous, more or less, anyway. But you always need someone to kind of say definitively, this is what we're going to do.
Who would you say like brings the most ideas for songs?
Um, well, I suppose like the kind of the Raven Age sound, whatever that is, kind of starts and usually finishes with George. It's kind of it's his band, it's his kind of brainchild of when things started, and the image and the kind of direction he sees for the band. And everything that we do as a group kind of gets filtered through him. It gives it that, I don't know, Raven Aginess, whatever that is. So that's what happened. We did that, and it's mainly me and George that kind of do the bulk of the writing, or bulk of the creative process seems to get situated around myself and him. And then kind of like the finer details instrumentally get done through the rest of the guys, and that seems to be what works for us. But the thing is, where none of us, I don't think, are precious about it. We'll accept an idea from anywhere. So if anyone's got a good idea, we'll work with it. And yeah.
Were there any points in time you had any major creative differences, and how did you resolve them?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had creative differences, like little ones, more or less. But I think the thing that I've always said is, you're never ever going to agree about absolutely everything. And I think the most important thing is, sometimes you've got to trust the people that you're working with, and you've got to trust that maybe just because you don't see what they see or hear what they hear, that you are right and they are wrong, or vice versa. So you've just got to kind of have that element of trust with one another, that more or less everyone's doing it with the good intention of what they're trying to do. And I've said this on like record a few times, where I don't believe pure democracy works in bands. If it does, then it's the least egotistical set of musicians I've ever heard of, and I don't think that works in rock and roll. Personally, I think everyone's got to have a little bit of an ego to do what you do. Otherwise, what's the point? And I personally think that everyone should have an opinion, but sometimes the buck has got to end with someone. someone's got to make the decision sometimes if everyone's like in a different headspace and go, yeah, I think we should do this. And for us in our band, that's George, and I like that. I like the fact that there's someone we can kind of turn to make a final decision. And I don't always agree with the final decision. You know, I've been very vocal and probably a pain in the arse about it in the past. But like it goes back to what I was saying, what I think you've got to trust the people you're working with. And, you know, like I trust George's judgment just like I trust the rest of the guys' judgment. So yeah, and that's what works for us.
I saw you guys playing a few festivals this summer. Which was your favorite and why?
Ooh. I mean, this summer has been one of the best touring summers we've had, I think, as a band. The shows have been unbelievable. Um, we started off the season, I suppose you can say, in a festival called Trondheim Rocks in Norway, which was really, really good. And we ended it this Sunday at a festival in Wales called Steelhouse, which was also wicked. There hasn't really been a bad one in, they've all been great. The tour we did with Maiden was amazing. The shows were incredible. Uh, it's hard. So do you mean like specifically a festival?
Oh yeah, so
You
for
said, yeah.
festival specifics, which
Okay,
festival was your
festival
favorite?
specific. Festival. Um, I tell you what, I'd actually give it a tie with the one we started the season with and the one we just ended with. I'd give it Trondheim Rocks and Steelhouse Festival. They were both really good fun. And one no one will ever agree in the band which one they prefer. Everyone's always different. But yeah, those two were great ways to start the tour and to finish on. So yeah.
And what was one of the most memorable moments from the festivals?
Sometimes in festivals you seem to remember the stuff that goes wrong rather than the stuff that goes right. Um, well, I tell you what was pretty cool on the one that we just did. I don't know if it's sticking in my mind just because we've just done it, but the it was in this. It's my I live in Wales, so it was really nice for me to kind of finish where I live, more or less anyway. It was like at the top of a mountain, and I hadn't done a festival in a while that had like a runway coming out, you know, like, you know, usually they just that the stage is like that, but this particular stage had a runway that went out into the crowd, and you become so used to what you do choreography wise with your band over the course of a tour, and none of us were used to having a bit of a runway on the stage, so I loved it. It felt, you know, felt like I had my own little bit of stage. I was using that thing within an inch of its life. Yeah, it was really cool. And it kind of brings you into the crowd a bit, which I really liked. We had like a, you know, group of people either side, and it was just, yeah, it was really cool. So that was pretty memorable.
Oh, that is sick actually. And you had mentioned that it's easier to remember the things that go wrong. So out of
Yeah.
curiosity, what went wrong?
Well, we've had we had, you know, it just happens on festivals because you don't get chance to sound check. You know, you just kind of the gear gets thrown on, and I put my hands into the sake into the of our crew. You know, we've got an amazing crew that 9 times out of 10 everything's fine, but obviously you're leaving your fate up to the gods when you've got no sound check. You think things are fine, you go cool, and sometimes it just things go wrong. Like we did a festival called Made of Stone in the UK, and whatever reason, you know, my wireless mic was picking up loads of interference, so we had to use what the festival had, and it was just a bit of a crap thing to have at last minute. But nothing major's happened. We get through it. Um, we get through things. We've been around a while now, so we tend to kind of muddle through it. And most people don't notice anyway when things go wrong, unless it goes drastically wrong. People tend not to notice. So yeah, nothing major's gone wrong this summer. It's all been pretty smooth.
Like I saw you went on tour recently with Iron Maiden and Halestorm. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
bit about what that was like?
Yeah, it was amazing, really amazing. Just we've done some shows in Maiden before, but these I think were my favorite. Definitely the best big shows I think we've done in the UK. Because we've done a few like arena tours before around the UK. Like we did some shows with Alter Bridge and Shinedown, and we did last year we did like the shows with Apocalyptica. We did Royal Albert Hall and things, and they were all fantastic. But for this particular set of like I suppose an achievement for us, it just seemed like everything had gone up another level. And yeah, they're amazing, and we've known the Hailstorm guys a few years now, and they'd obviously never done these maiden shows before, and they were, what's it going to be like? And I said, well, they're notoriously the hardest set of crowds you're going to probably play to, but they did it great, and what a band! They are like yeah, they were fantastic, and yeah, there's no like nothing negative to say about any of it really. It was just, yeah, it was all the shows were brilliant. I couldn't probably pick one that I preferred out of any of them. They were all just really, really good shows, and it was just, yeah, it was really nice to play them with Hailstorm as well. So yeah, it was wicked.
And then so as far as crowds go, would you say
Hmm.
that on this tour was this the best crowd reception that you guys have had, or is it normally about the same?
Yeah, it's difficult because it's they're not it wasn't our crowd on the on obviously on the Maiden and Hailstorm stuff. You're playing to Maiden fans, and they can be notorious because obviously they're there to see Maiden, and I think us and Hailstorm, you just got to give them the best show that you can, uh, with what you got, and I think we did that, and all the reviews were just amazing. Like we were so happy with the reception, and everyone was so welcoming. And I think everyone just put it down to we're just up for a really good night of rock and metal music, and I think both bands did a really good job of teeing that up. And then the show that Maiden did itself, I think is one of the best ones they've done. And then we got to play a very, very special concert in London with them, which was at the London Stadium, which was just like the sheer kind of it's hard. It's one of those things. The size of it you can't quite describe, that size of a venue, because we've done quite a few arenas in the past, and but when you get to like the stadium level of things and you look out on that, and you get a good reception with that, it's yeah, it's quite an emotional thing. So yeah, we were very really, really, really grateful for the opportunity, and yeah, to tour with them.
So where you are now, is this somewhere you ever thought that you would be as a musician, like let's say before you joined the Raven Age, or even like since when you first joined them?
Ooh, yeah, good question. I mean, before I joined them, I've been in the band, quite a long time now. Um, I suppose it doesn't feel as long because of the pandemic kind of in the middle. That it's almost like that time doesn't count of years. But yeah, it's amazing. I think the band's come on so much, and they were, before I joined, they were like an established act, and I obviously knew who they were. So even coming into that was nice. But to kind of grow with the band from then on, and do some of the shows that we've managed to do, it's just, yeah, I think if I told my younger self some of the amazing things that we've been able to do, it would be a, yeah, a bit of a bucket list thing. So yeah, no, we've been incredibly fortunate to do what we've done, and but we've sacrificed a lot as a band as well. We're all a bit older now, and it doesn't get any easier kind of leaving your families for weeks and months on end, and trying to carve out a career doing it. It has has its trials at times, but yeah, it's been we've been overall been very fortunate and very grateful to do what we've done.
What would you say is the most exhausting part about touring?
The actual touring part, the kind of going from place to place, and you know, obviously when we do our own shows, it's pretty full on. You know, it's back to back. You know, the Forsaken tour, which we did at the beginning of the year. You know, we do like 7 in a row, then a day off, then another 6 in a row, then one day off, then an 8 in a row. You know, that's just because you know it's just what makes the business side of it work, I suppose. The more you play, the more it works. So it's full on. You know, it can be intense, and we obviously we travel on a bus, and it's not always the most glamorous kind of way of doing things, but yes, sleep can be difficult as well, especially after a gig. You know, your mind's going at 100 miles an hour, and you just you do what you got to do. But yeah, it's still great. You know, we love it. It just you know, certain things get a bit more difficult the older you get as well.
What would you say is like one of the biggest like misconceptions about touring or something that might be glamorized?
I think that we were talking about this yesterday, actually. I think the whole backstage thing, like people have this kind of like fantasy of what it's like backstage, that you know it's just like this massive party, and I don't know what people think, but it's possibly one of the most boring places you can be. You know, if I'd rather be anywhere else sometimes than backstage. It's just you know, you know, we have a drink after the show, and you know we enjoy each other's company, but that's about it really. I mean, maybe once upon a time, like back in the 80s or something, it was different. But yeah, it's just yeah. Sometimes, oh, do you reckon you can get us backstage? And I'm just like, why? Sure, but why? You know, it's just us most of the time half naked in a changing room, boring each other with our terrible jokes and stories. So
Then just going back to the maiden questions, super quick. Would you say that do you feel like you have almost more pressure when you're sharing a stage with Maiden, or is it like you're kind of used to doing it?
well, we've done a few of them, but yeah, there is a huge amount of pressure, and I think that's one of the things that gets a little bit lost on people. Like, you know, we obviously were so grateful, like any band that gets to tour with a band like Maiden and play shows with them, it's an amazing privilege. But like I said, they're notoriously one of the hardest crowds. So whatever you got to do, we've still got to get out there and do the job of entertaining them. And you do get a lot of the kind of arms folded, come on, impress me kind of thing. And you know, 9 times out of 10, we do, and we go down really well with the Maiden crowd. I think it's a good combination of the fact that we kind of like tiptoe around both kind of eras of metal music. We kind of have a lot of influence from the more traditional forms like the Iron Maidens, and then we mix it in with the kind of modern stuff. So you know, it's I think that can be related to both the young and the old fans, and you know, we like to think that we put on a you know a good show, and we don't try to do anything special just because it's an Iron Maiden gig. We try to be as good as we can and do the show that we always put on, and you know, we think hopefully they like it. And you know, we've been really fortunate over especially this summer, and the ones that we've done where it's gone down really well. And of course, we're not going to please everybody. You know, we're not setting out to do that. But as long as most people can leave saying yeah that they had a really good time at the show and they enjoyed it, then that's kind of good. I think the other thing is like no matter how, even if you've done it once, you have to go, okay, I've done it once, but we've got to do it again tomorrow, and then we've got to do it. So it kind of starts all over again. You know, you walk out to a sometimes, you know, the folded arms, come on, impress me. So yeah, we're used to that, I think. So yeah, but it's been good. This particular year has been really good.
So have you ever had somebody like come up to you guys and give you like a backhanded compliment or just straight up not be nice?
Oh yeah, all the time. One of the best things that ever happened to us was it was a gig in Paris. There was a chap that had brought like a big digital screen with a middle finger on it, just sticking up into the crowd. And I found it so funny because I was like, you would have had to carry that in just to essentially, mug us off, which I thought was quite funny. So I laughed. I didn't mind, and he saw that I laughed, and he laughed, and I think eventually took it down and actually listened to the band. And I think that's all you can do, really. Just you think, just there's a lot of preconceptions with us, and probably like a lot of bands. I think all we ask is, you just actually have a listen to the music, and then make up your mind after the show.
Yeah, no kidding, but oh my god, what overkill.
Yeah, it was funny though. It was creative.
From the recent tour, what would you say was one of the craziest moments?
Craziest moments. Um, Probably playing the London Stadium. That was pretty crazy. I mean, just as I said, just the kind of occasion of it. Just you can't really. I tell you what was a really special moment for me personally is my son got to come to the Birmingham concert. He's been to loads of shows. Like even when he was like, I think he was 6 weeks old. He came to on the Blood Omen tour. He came to again Birmingham, and he's flown out to Amsterdam, he's been to Prague, he's been all over the place to see me, but he's never actually attended the show itself. He's kind of come for sound check, and he's gone off with his mum, and that's kind of what we've done. But we decided he's so into music and he's so into watching videos of the band and stuff. He's not even two yet, but we made the decision to let him come to the Birmingham show, and he absolutely gave him the little like ear defenders, and he absolutely loved it. He was just absolutely buzzing, bless him. So, and he wasn't phased by the crowd and the amount of people there. He just was there, and he loved the music. Absolutely loved being around backstage, around everybody, and being, sociable. Yeah, it was great. Really, really good. That was a special moment for me, for him to see that.
Are there any talks or plans of the Raven Age going to North America?
Yes, there is, and we get asked it so much, and we are trying at. We've got a really decent agent out there as well, and obviously we were over in the States in 2019. We did North America, Canada, South America, and we came back over. We did like a small radio tour, and we had our first set of headline shows over there in, I think it was like Chicago, New York, LA, and it's another place. Anyway, and because of again bloody COVID, we got called off. We had to our record label flew us home because they were like, we got to get you out of here. And since then, it's been really difficult for us to. We want to do it, and it's on the cards. We're logistically trying to make it work because it's more for business reasons. For whatever reason now, the expense for European bands to get over to America and vice versa, them coming over here, it's so much more. So it's basically, business reasons. We're just trying to find the right moment and the right tour to do it on. Because obviously it just, yeah, we gotta make it work from a business perspective, and we are doing everything we can, and it will happen. It's just it needs to be the right tour, because we thought, do we do it as a headliner and just kind of it's been a long time since we've been there. Do we just kind of risk that, or do we wait for the right support tour to make that work? So it's just a few things that we're trying to navigate. But we'll be back over there like as soon as we physically can. It's just logistically it takes a little bit of work, and we had like a few other areas, we like other places on the globe we needed to focus on first, one of it being mainland Europe, and other parts of Europe we hadn't been. And like we're always constantly trying to go to new places. Like on the Forsaken tour at the beginning of the year, we'd never done our own set of shows in Spain, which is crazy. that we'd never done that, and we did it for the first time, and they were great. And even on the tour that we got coming up at the end of the year, we've never done our own show in Wales, so that's a first for us. So we're constantly trying to, you know, do these little milestones and move it on. But the next thing on the bucket list and on the to-do list is going to be America. We're just trying to make it, just figure out the logistics basically at the moment.
Heck yeah. Well, I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for announcements at some point.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's it for all my questions today. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for your time as well.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.